Whew. Got a lot to do. A lot to do. Back in our pajamas. I really need to find a mod to change that. Hopefully by my third playthrough. My third, like, yeah, my third playthrough. Yay, it's the cool kids! And it's cool having Cassandra doing this, knowing their history
They
together.
arrive daily from every settlement in the region. Skyhold is becoming a pilgrimage. If word has reached these people, it will have reached the Elder One. We have the walls and numbers to put up a fight here, but this threat is far beyond the war we anticipated. But we now know what allowed you to stand against Coriphus, what drew him to you.
No more chosen nonsense.
This isn't more about me being divinely touched, is it?
I won't ask you to believe. Whether it's true or not, that's not why you're here now. Your decisions let us heal the sky. Your determination brought us out of Haven. You are the creature's rival because of what you did. And we know it. All of us.
That's very kind of you.
The Inquisition requires a leader. The one who has already been leading it.
Andy's taken aback, just as much as Art is. He's like, you want me to lead this? Okay. Really? Okay. It's just very overwhelming for him.
You.
I don't want this. I don't know if Andy doesn't want this. I think he's actually feels flattered. He actually feels very flattered, especially coming from Cassandra. The fact that this is all coming from Cassandra, that really gets to him. I'm honored, but I'm not human. But I'm not your chosen one.
Are you insane? They expect a savior, someone with divine power.
They want you.
Because they think I'm chosen.
They believe you are chosen because of what you have done, what you have inspired in all of us. Without you, there would be no Inquisition. Where you lead us, what kind of leader you are, that is up to you.
I think that makes sense to Andy. I think that's good enough for him. Alright, sure. I think this is the point in the story where his personality is starting to evolve even more. I think this is the part where Andy realizes just because he may not believe, it doesn't mean that it's not important for the rest of the Inquisition, the rest of the people to believe. He's starting to realize now that there's so much value in having hope, having a figure that they can turn to and believe in. He's just really humbled. He's humbled that that person happens to be him. And even though he may not himself believe that he was chosen by Andraste herself, he's starting to get, okay, it doesn't matter what I believe. What matters is, you know, that the people have someone that they are motivated to fight with, that they have something that they can fight for, a cause that they can fight for, and someone, if they need someone to believe in for that, then that's not a terrible thing at all. And Andy shouldn't quash that. He shouldn't try to outright tell people, no, I'm not. I have nothing. This has nothing to do with the divine. So I think from this point forward, Andy gets it. And he may not necessarily completely say, yeah, I'm the chosen one, but he's not going to deny it either. He's not going to do either. So it's a little bit of what Art was doing all along from the beginning, but with Andy, it's different. It's different with him, and this is I think this is the part where his personality is starting to grow and evolve. I will lead them to vengeance. That's not something Andy would say. I'll do it for my own power. No, Andy wouldn't say that either. Coriphus must stop. I fight for order, not faith. A dwarf will stand for us all. I'll do this. A dwarf will stand for us all. Yeah.
I will lead us against Coriphus, and I will be an ambassador. I'm a dwarf standing for Thedas. The Inquisition is for all.
Wherever you lead us. Have our people been told?
They have. And soon, the world.
Commander, will they follow?
Inquisition, will you follow?
Nice.
Will you fight? Will we triumph?
I love how...
Your leader, your herald, your Inquisitor!
I love how the sword is taller than him. Look at that. The sword is way taller than Andy, but that's just what makes him great. That's why I love him so much. Nice. Alright. We've got work to do.
So this is where it begins.
Yep. That's where it begins. Yep.
It began in the courtyard. This is where we turned that promise into action.
But what do? We know nothing about this Coriphus except that he wanted your mark.
Could his dragon really be an archdemon? What would that mean?
It would mean the beginning of another blight.
We've seen no darkspawn other than Coriphus himself. Perhaps it's not an archdemon at all, but something different?
Whatever it is, it's dangerous. Commanding such a creature gives Coriphus an advantage we can't ignore.
Coriphus wants to restore Tevinter. Is this a prelude to war with the Imperium?
I get the feeling we're dealing with extremists, not the vanguard of a true invasion.
Tevinter is not the Imperium of 1,000 years ago. What Coriphus yearns to restore no longer exists. Though they would shed no tears if the South fell to chaos, I'm certain.
Coriphus said he wanted to enter the Black City, that this would make him a god.
He is willing to tear this world apart to reach the next. It won't matter if he's wrong.
What if he's not wrong? If he finds some other way into the Fade?
Then he gains the power he seeks, or unleashes catastrophe on us all.
Just find me a target.
If you can't find him, then find his followers. We can go after them.
We do have one advantage. We know what Coriphus intends to do next.
That's right.
When you were at Therenfall, you uncovered a plot to kill Empress Celine.
Imagine the chaos her death would cause. With his army.
An army he's growing. The Envy Demon gloated about a massive force of demons.
Coriphus could conquer the entire south of Thedas, god or no god.
I'd feel better if we knew more about what we were dealing with.
I know someone who can help with that.
Cue the other sexy dwarf.
Everyone acting all inspirational jogged my memory, so I sent a message to an old friend. He's crossed paths with Coriphus before and may know more about what he's doing. He can help.
Don't make deals for me. This better be good. No, he likes Varric. He likes Varric.
I'm always looking for new allies. Introduce me.
Parading around might cause a fuss. It's better for you to meet privately, on the battlements. Trust me, it's complicated.
Well, then, we stand ready to move on both of these concerns.
On your order, Inquisitor.
Thanks, Colin.
I know one thing. If Varric has brought who I think he has, Cassandra is going to kill him.
Nice. Beautiful.
This is the Inquisition. A dusty old ruin filled with battered soldiers.
If you shut your mouth and opened your eyes, you'd see that the Inquisition is our one hope.
Well, we still have some time to explore around Skyhold. So I want to try to find, let's see, Solus is there, Josephine's there, Cullen's there, Vivian, Blackwall, Sarah, Iron Bull, Cassandra, the Forgotten Boy. After the dust settled, Cole was nowhere to be found. It's hard to believe he isn't hanging around somewhere in Skyhold. Huh, but where's Dorian? So, the Forgotten Boy is there. Cullen, Vivian, Blackwall, Sarah, Iron Bull, Cassandra. From the Ashes. War Room. Josephine. The Inquisition to make... Okay. Undercroft. Where is Dorian? Is he not where he normally is? Dorian's normally over here, I think. Solus is up here.
What was this place? So much room for whatever was here.
Right. Well, here, let me try to get up to Dorian's. I think Dorian's still up here. Find the war room, find the blacksmith. There's Dorian. I don't know why I missed him last time.
Brilliant, isn't it? One moment you're trying to restore order in a world gone mad. That should be enough for anyone to handle, yes? Then, out of nowhere, an archdemon appears and kicks you in the head. What? You thought this would be easy? No, I was just hoping you wouldn't crush our village like an anthill. Sorry about that. Archdemons like to crush, you know. Can't be helped. I suppose a proper introduction is called for, now that we're not running for our lives. Dorian of House Parvus, most recently of the Tevinter Imperium. I was at Redcliffe when the Venatori assumed command of your southern mages.
Right.
I only wish I could have given more warning.
Then you're a Magister.
I know it's all the same to southerners, but no, I'm not. All members of the Magisterium, and thus all Magisters, are mages. But not all mages are part of the Magisterium. Not to imply I'm just any mage, of course, but let's not start with incorrect assumptions.
You mentioned these Venatori when you arrived. They're a cult.
The Venatori are fools, so desperate to restore the Imperium's glory days that sacrifice our nation's soul. They made an offer to your mage rebels to join forces, but I'd bet they didn't leave the outcome to chance. The result is the army you saw at Haven. This Elder One has more magic than you can shake a stick at.
Oh yeah, Andy's definitely flirting with this one.
What you did for us at Haven was very brave.
It was, wasn't it? Throwing in my lot with the underdogs, that's me. I always assumed the Elder One behind the Venatori was a Magister. But this is something else completely. In Tevinter, they say the Chantry's tales of Magisters starting the Blight are just that. Tales. But here we are. One of those very Magisters, a dark spawn.
Who does the Imperium say started the Blight?
You know how it is. Not us. They say Darkspawn were always there. Magisters and the Blight aren't even related. Is that a surprise? No one wants to admit they shit the bed. But if Coriphus is one of the Magisters who entered the Black City and he's Darkspawn, what other explanation is there?
We only know what Coriphus claims to be.
True. He might be a convincing liar, or delusional, or insane.
Probably all
but
three.
How many delusional maniacs are going to have that knowledge? He broke open the Fade.
True.
I knew what I was taught couldn't be the whole truth, but I assumed there had to be a kernel of it, somewhere. But no. It was us all along. We destroyed the world.
It's not destroyed yet.
Last I checked, the Blights hadn't actually destroyed the world.
Not for lack of trying. If they were more clever, they'd have unleashed something that would really do the job. I have no intention of letting Coriphus win. Not without someone from Tevinter standing against him. If it's all the same to you, I'd like to stay and help the Inquisition.
You'd really fight your own countrymen?
Southerners like to think of the Imperium as nothing but slavers and cultists. Why not? That's all you see. But it's not true. Some Tevinters are not only handsome and well-dressed, but rather put off by all that rot. So, I'll happily kill cultists or anyone who thinks a Darkspawn god is the way of the future.
What if this is a ruse? The Venatori could have captured you, sent you here.
Rather elaborate, considering they'd need to have assumed you'd escape Haven. But I am the ideal spy. Charming, clever, perfect teeth and hair. It all fits.
Of course.
How about this? Let me help, and you can hang me later, if you wish. I look good in rope.
Dorian! No, you're welcome here.
We can use all the help we can get.
No one will thank me, whatever happens. No one will thank you, either. You know that, yes?
Yes. We need all the hair, all the awesome hair we can get. I don't need their thanks. Nobody knows that.
We don't know what will happen. Nobody does.
An optimist! Such a rare breed. I've stumbled upon a unicorn.
Who, me?
All I know is this. Coriphus needs to be stopped. Men like him ruined my homeland. I won't stand by and let him ruin the world.
Sounds good. Oh, well, okay.
Oh, and congratulations on that whole leading the Inquisition thing, by the way.
Thanks. Hey, Dorian, I'm not done talking with you.
Roderick, that Chantry fellow who led us through the mountain from Haven. You know he died, I assume. Got us as far as the camp, and then that was it.
I don't think Andy would say that. He's not that insensitive.
I'm shocked he helped us instead of running off.
I imagine being attacked by something undeniably evil changes one's perspective a bit. I helped him walk. He talked about you quite a bit.
Really?
He just needed to be sure you were Andraste's chosen. He was terrified of what it meant, if it were true. But in the end, he believed. He asked me to tell you he was sorry.
Wow. Thanks for telling me, Dorian.
Thank you for telling me about that.
I thought it was important. Anyway, we can talk about something else if you'd rather.
Yeah, let's talk about you. Tell me about yourself.
It occurs to me that I barely know anything about you.
Beyond my being a mage from Tevinter, you mean?
Beyond that, yes.
And beyond my being so charming and well-dressed, which is obvious to anyone.
I'm well aware of your finer qualities, believe me.
Of course I believe you. The moment I saw you, I thought, there's a man who knows quality. Now, what was I talking about? Ah, yes, me.
Yes.
I am the scion of House Parvis, a product of generations of careful breeding and the repository of its hopes and dreams. Naturally, I despised it all. The lies, the scheming, the illusions of supremacy. That's Tevinter in a nutshell, isn't it? Needless to say, my family was not happy with my choices.
Why would your family be upset with your choices?
Because I rejected their idyllic plan. If they had their way, by now I'd be married to some unlucky girl from a powerful family. We'd live in luxurious despair, despising each other as I waited to take my father's place in the magisterium. I declined the honor, and thus it's best I'm far from home. Less of an embarrassment that way, you see?
I'm getting the impression that you don't care much for your homeland.
On the contrary, I care for my homeland a great deal. There's so much potential. Sadly, we squander it. We refuse to acknowledge how far we've fallen because pretending is easier. We pretend the Qunari can be beaten. We pretend that we're superior to everyone, even our own people. Not everyone feels that way. I don't. Sadly, we're the minority.
It just seems... so much of what you say about the Imperium is entirely negative.
It might sound that way. For all our faults, my people have many virtues. We are laden with history and culture. Tevinter is where Cadash truly began, remember? We treasure our past and preserve it. You can walk down a side street and find nothing built during the modern ages. And despite appearances, we care. Deeply. About everything. We have no reserve, not in war and not in love. If I truly believed my homeland was beyond all hope, I wouldn't miss it so much.
What do you mean by generations of careful breeding?
The great families of Tevinter don't have children. They refine traits, weed out the undesirable, and promote the rest. My mother was chosen for my father because magic runs strongly in her blood. Never mind that they loathed each other.
Oh,
they
that
wanted
stinks.
a son who could become Archon to make House Parvis the envy of the Imperium. They got me. A cautionary tale that you should be careful what you wish for.
Why remain with the Inquisition? Why not go back to Tevinter?
I'm not exactly welcome back home. Not that it matters, I'm quite accustomed to being a pariah. It adds to my charm. I can do more for Tevinter here. If the Venatori succeed, it'll set my homeland back 1,000 years. I'm sure some Magisters would disagree, but that's why we kill them.
I think I've heard enough.
Forgot about
That's
that.
too bad. I never tire of talking about myself.
I'm curious why you were in Redcliffe in the first place.
Looking up an old mentor of mine. A Magister by the name of Alexius.
Right.
Good fellow. Always thought highly of him. Then one day, he asks me to join the Venatori. I don't know what he was thinking. He knew I wanted to change Tevinter, not regress it into prehistoric madness.
Right.
The Venatori killed Alexius, once he stopped being useful.
Oh, that's what happened when we didn't go that way. All right.
Seems odd he would get involved with the Venatori at all.
That's what I thought. I'd hoped to persuade him to leave Redcliffe. I suppose he had his reasons. People will do odd things when they're strung over a barrel. Either that, or I didn't really know Alexius at all.
I'd like to ask you about Tevinter.
Ah, yes. Everyone outside the Imperium always seems quite fascinated by it. Probably why they come up with so many ridiculous tales. Flying cows over Minrathous. That's madness. All right, that one's actually true, but the cows didn't have wings. I digress. Anything in particular you wanted to know?
It seems strange that an entire empire would be ruled by mages.
I find it strange that your mages don't rule anything at all. Actually, the fiction in the Imperium is that mages don't rule. The Magisterium rules. That Magisters are all mages is considered a convenient technicality.
Right.
What is the Magisterium exactly?
The upper house of the Imperial Senate, and the only part worth having a seat on. Those seats are split among the circles of Magi, the Chantry, and the major families. All mages now. It's odd that outside the Imperium, you use Magister like it applies to every Tevinter mage.
If you're not a Magister, then what are you called? No special title?
I'm an Altus, which is almost as good as a Magister, depending on who you ask.
I've never heard of an Altus.
Upper class. Those families who trace descent from the Dreamers, the first prophets of the old gods.
Oh, the Dreamers.
If you're a mage and you're not Altus, then you're Laetan, lower class. If you're not a mage at all, you're Soperati. That's everyone else. We do love our fancy words.
I have to remember all this vocabulary.
I thought the Archon ruled over the Imperium.
Well, yes. Technically, he can overrule laws passed by the Magisterium, but that never happens. Even so, he gets to appoint new Magisters, which means all the families vie madly for his favor. Thus, the Archon gets invited to all the parties. The truest path to Tevinter influence, let me tell you.
If it's a fiction, that means mages do rule then.
Yes and no. Let me put it this way. Mages do rule, but not all mages are equal. If you're not from the right family, chances are you don't rule anything. Maybe you're even a slave. The idea that anyone could be a mage, however, keeps the masses placated.
Can anyone be a mage?
Really?
Technically, the potential runs mostly in bloodlines, but it's been known to happen.
Not on
More
dwarves.
importantly, commoners believe it can. Tevinter legend is chock full of mage heroes from humble origins. So they hold out hope. Someday my son or my son's son will be a mage. Someday. Poor sods don't realize that means he'll be a quaestor at the arse end of the 100 Pillars, at best.
Being a quaestor isn't a good thing.
I imagine the average non-mage likes to think so. Counting numbers and shuffling papers all day is better than many occupations after all. If you're a second-class citizen among a pack of piranha, however, your outlook changes.
Let me ask you something else.
Of course.
Just how often is blood magic used there?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
That's what any Magister would tell you. They'd be convincingly offended by the notion, too. Of course, what people call blood magic here, and what we consider blood magic, are two different things.
What's considered actual blood magic in Tevinter?
Blood magic isn't inherently dangerous. Using your own blood or that of a willing participant, what's the harm? The problem is that what's permitted only gets you so much power. And what if you need more? You always need more. That's where we get into sacrifices and demon summoning. None of that is done. Not officially. Behind closed doors, it's a different story. Real blood magic can give you an edge, a leg up against your opponents. It's safe to assume that any mage of rank does it. The rest are quietly shut out of power, to put it bluntly.
Which is sad.
You'd think the Templars would object.
I imagine they did, long ago. Once, their investigations might have been sincere. Then their balls were cut off. Too inconvenient. Nowadays, only the friendless are accused. Most of them probably innocent.
There must be some mages who oppose this.
Of course. I do. And I'm not entirely alone. Occasionally, there'll be a Magister who makes noise. And then the reform talk begins. All very patriotic. Meanwhile, that Magister will be quietly shunned. Chances are, surprise, it's learned he was a Maleficar all along. Most learn to keep quiet. Me? I enjoy the allure of pariahhood.
And I respect you for that, Dorian.
Anyone who talks about the Imperium mentions slavery. It's the center of the slave trade.
Ah. That is true.
And? Did you have slaves?
Not personally, but my family does and treats them well. Honestly, I never thought much about it until I came south. Back home, it's how it is. Slaves are everywhere. You don't question it. I'm not even certain many slaves do.
That's a terrible attitude.
That's it! You don't question it!
In the south, you have alienages, slums, both human and elven. The desperate have no way out. Back home, a poor man can sell himself. As a slave, he could have a position of respect, comfort, and could even support a family. Some slaves are treated poorly, it's true. But do you honestly think inescapable poverty is better?
Because I feel like Andy might have been in poverty at some point. At least they have a choice. I suppose not. Treated poorly.
At least they're free. They don't have slavery forced on them.
You think people choose to be poor and oppressed? I doubt it. I don't know what it's like to be a slave, true. I never thought about it until I saw how different it was here. But I suspect you don't know either. Nor should you believe that every tale of Tevinter excess is the norm.
Dorian disapproved a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay.
I'm wondering if the Imperium would be a useful ally.
I'd think you'd be more concerned whether or not they'd support the Venatori. They won't, of course. At least, not officially. They'll disavow all knowledge of dangerous cultists. Secretly, many Magisters will rejoice at the idea. And if the South falls to chaos in the meantime, all the better.
It would be in the Imperium's best interest to help. Surely it could use allies.
I think the Imperium gave up on the idea of allies a long time ago. We've been fighting the Qunari for what, 200 years off and on? It's a point of pride that we go it alone. They'll sneer at the South behind their silk handkerchiefs and say, "You've had it easy for far too long." Let's not forget that the Inquisition seems to be an arm of the Orlesian Chantry. Anathema so far as they're concerned.
We're not part of the Chantry. The Chantry opposed the Inquisition's formation.
You think that matters? Don't be silly. The Herald of Andraste. Your very title smacks of the Southern Chantry. You may as well be a heathen. I think they're far more frightened what you'll do if you succeed.
There's an Imperial Chantry, isn't there? With its own divine?
You people aren't supposed to talk about the Black Divine, are you? If you mention him outside the Imperium, people make that face, like you're urinating in public. But yes, we do have the Chantry, or a version of it. Night and day comparing it to yours.
Is the Imperial Chantry so different from ours?
Not in theory. The main difference is in the whole magic is meant to serve man, not rule over him business. Back home, ruling the unwashed masses is serving them, for the good of the Imperium. Perhaps it started with good intentions, but these days it's academic. The circles are in command.
There are circles of magi in the Imperium.
We don't have dismal little mage prisons, if that's what you mean. They're academies, prestigious ones. We have Templars as well, but they don't cancel spells or whatever your Templars do. They're soldiers. They watch for abuse of magic, yes, but only those who are weak or who fall out of favor get dealt with. Mostly they enforce the Magisterium's edicts. The Chantry smiles and nods from the sidelines.
See, this is why I really feel like BioWare should deeply consider, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were, the next Dragon Age game to take place in Tevinter, because there's such a huge culture in Tevinter. I mean, there was a huge culture in Orlais, and we've got our great fill of it, but definitely Tevinter is a great place. Like learning all these terms, like Stoparati or whatever it was the terms for non-magical people, the Muggles. Navarra obviously is a big one too, but Tevinter, it just feels like it lends itself to being where the next game will be. You know, the whole premise of the Black Divine, the other Chantry, it's just like Dorian said, night and day.
Do you really call him the Black Divine?
We don't call him that, oh no. In the Imperium, he's the true divine. The woman sitting on the Sunburst throne is some backwater pretender. It all stems from a disagreement over Andraste. Marvelous, isn't it?
Why would they disagree over Andraste?
It's not my field of expertise, but the Imperium believes Andraste was a mortal woman, a mage. Down south, they say, no, she's the bride of the Maker, ascended to his side, divine provenance, a blah blah blah. We feel better believing Andraste was one of us. Makes executing her less damning, you see. So we elected a man as divine, the South declared war, and we've been feuding cousins ever since.
So the Imperial Divine is always a man?
All the better to distinguish him from that other one, yes. Don't think there aren't a number of female magisters who bristle at that. Why can't they be divine after all? Same reason you never see a man on the Sunburst throne. Because that's how it's always been done. Excellent reasoning.
Right.
Do you consider yourself Andrastian?
Ah. The big question. It might surprise you that I do consider myself Andrastian. I simply do not believe in the Chantry. It is a relic, whether back home or here in the South. Something from a bygone age desperately clinging to relevance. It's not an opinion that makes me popular.
The Chantry has its place. Others might object, yes. I kind of agree with you.
I share your opinion, actually.
That's not surprising, considering what the Inquisition represents. I'll say this. I may not believe in the Chantry, but I believe in you.
Aw, Dorian.
In me?
That the Maker sent you, whether through Andraste or fate. Cassandra is not wrong. You are what we needed most at the moment we needed it. That's what they will say in ages to come.
I'm surprised you think that. You're a fool. I don't know. I agree. I don't know.
I'm not sure about that myself.
Doubt is good. I like doubt. It will keep you sane. Me? I've seen too much to believe I know everything. The world is bigger than I. Even bigger than you. It laughs at all the things we think we know.
That's a good
The
point.
Maker doesn't need me to believe. But I do. The thought of no one at all watching out for us is too frightening.
Let me ask you something else.
So many questions.
That's it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Fair enough.
Very interesting.
I should go.
I should, naturally. Alright, guys. I should go. Thank you very much, and until next time, love yourselves and love each other.